So far in this class, we've been talking about the JavaScript language, and these are definitely things that you're going to need to know in order to create JavaScript. But let's step back and let's talk about the DOM. All of our scripts are going to be attached to web pages, and it's the web page that actually comes first. They call the script into them. It doesn't occur the other way around. So our page, whether it's a simple page or a more complex one, is the canvas that we're painting on. It's the environment that we're affecting. It is the world that the JavaScript will live in. And we need to be able to reach from our JavaScript into these pages and cause the pages to reach back into our script. In order to do that, we need to understand the DOM. The DOM stands for Document Object Model. And knowing your way around the DOM is probably one of the most important skills for a JavaScript programmer to develop. The term, the DOM, is a little bit hard to understand at first. It seems kind of vague. When people ask, what is the DOM? Is it a language? Is it part of JavaScript? What is it? If you look it up on the web, you'll find complex phrases like, the document object model is an application programming interface that defines the logical structure of well-formed XML and HTML documents. And it probably doesn't mean a lot to you when you think of it that way. So let's break down the DOM piece by piece. When we talk about document, we're simply meaning the page, not the site, but the unique web page. The web page is a document. This document can be represented in different ways. One is the browser view and one is the source code. So here we have this web page and this is the browser view. If we look at it in code view, obviously it's going to look quite different. It's the same document, but it has different representations. What we need to understand is how JavaScript perceives the same document. The object part of the document object model is just a thing. It's something. It's a thing that makes sense to treat as an individual piece, even if it contains other things. For us, that really means it's the elements, the components, the individual pieces of the document. If I talk to a user, I can say, look at the headline, look at the bulleted list, look at the whole page, even look at the second word in the sub-headline. Now they understand what I mean. But if I talk to you as a web developer, I can say, look at the H1 tag, look at the paragraph tag, look at the unordered list, or look at the whole document. All of these things are objects, and yes, sometimes they contain other objects, and that's okay. You have no problem understanding that the unordered list piece contains individual list items. And in the same way, what we'll do is we'll have a JavaScript term for every piece, for every object at whatever level that makes the most sense, from the entire document down to the smallest piece. And that leads us to the idea of the model of the document object model. Now, what they mean here is a model, as in a business model or a data model. You've probably seen flowcharts or database diagrams. The idea of taking something very complex and making it abstract or simple, kind of like this model that I have on my web page right here. We should be able to take any HTML file and represent it as a tree structure with the simplest of HTML here. It contains a head and a body. The head contains the title tag. The body contains a div, which in turn contains H1, H2, paragraph, and unordered list. The unordered list contains 6 list items. We are able, with this diagram, to represent the structure, the tree structure of the HTML document. We could even describe each of these pieces as nodes. So if we pick up a paragraph or an H1 and call them all nodes, we could develop terms to describe relationships, like picking up a node and asking what's its parent. Does it have any children nodes? So the model is simply a set of terms that we can agree on, a set of standards that we can use. So what we end up with is an agreed upon set of terms that describe exactly how to interact with the pieces of a web page. We simply call that the document object model. It's not a language, it's an idea, it's a convention, and JavaScript agrees on this DOM. It's also available in JavaScript, and the agreed upon terminology lets us describe and interact with any web page. By knowing the basic concepts of the DOM, I can write JavaScript that navigates around the page. When I say I want to get to the text of the title, or I want to get to the second paragraph element, or I want to get the third link in the menu and change how it's displaying, I can hide it, or change the background color of all the paragraphs, or get the list item elements, or find an image and start to move it around, or change a link from its default behavior to actually performing a JavaScript function. I can even create new unordered lists, or I can create new paragraphs or menus, or insert them on the web page on the fly and dynamically. And there's a lot of other things that we can do as well. So that's why we need to know the DOM. It's a way that we can reach into the page from our script, and the way our page can reach into our script.